What is up, gang? How you guys? Hope you had a great Labor Day. I hope you guys are now well rested and ready to rock for September because we're nearing the end. This is the last month of Q3, then we roll into Q4, and that means it's game time. Q4 is one of my favorite periods of the year because that means you get to plan for the next year, and rolling into Q1 prepared is what separates the amateurs from the pros. But I wanted to talk to you guys because I saw the questions you guys asked when you joined the group, and a lot of you guys were asking the same questions around, like, how do I ethically sell? When do I know to sell? Or how do I avoid being unethical with my persuasion ability? How do I not be manipulative? And these kinds of questions were really common questions for a lot of you guys who are jumping in the group, was just trying to understand sort of that fine line of when you're using the power of persuasion for good and when you're using the power of persuasion for evil. And so this is something that I teach a lot of the beginning sales reps that work with us, or anybody that's looking to get into sales. It's something that's called the philosophy of sales and magic. So ultimately, if you look at magic, there's a word inside of magic called incantation. And an incantation literally means to speak something into existence. So when you say something and then that word becomes real, that's magic. That's an incantation. And when we're selling, we are magicians. Like, it's straight up, you are making word real, right? And if you look at it, it's like, in the beginning was the word, and the word was all. From there, he said, let there be light, speaking it into existence, right? And that's how the book of Genesis starts, is that whole idea of speaking something into existence, because that's the power of the mind, right? The mind is what's going to control everything. Like, if you look at all of the top performers of every domain, it's all their mind. The beauty of, like, people that we see as powerful or influential, it's their mind that's influential. One of my favorite Jay-Z lyrics actually says, block my body, can't trap my mind, easily explain how we adapt to crime. And the reason it's very interesting is because, like, there's a guy named Larry Hoover, right? And he was a gang leader, and he ran the streets from inside of the jail, which is insane, right? Like, his mind was so powerful that he was influencing and making, like, millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars in the streets with the power of his mind. And that's the magic, right? And so when you take your mind, you focus your mind, you concentrate your mind, and you make a thing real, that's an incantation, especially when you use the gift of gab in order to do it, right? And so ultimately, once you understand magic, you understand that there's white magic and there's black magic. And, people use magic to hurt other people and deceive other people and take things from them. And, that's what we would typically call a con artist. And the other side of it, you can use magic for good, right? And if you look at how people use magic when it benefits other people, that's what we really, like, are awe-inspired by, and we love those people, whether it's the Martin Luther Kings or the Gandhis or the Mother Teresas or even Tony Robbins and, like, those types of characters. We're fascinated by their ability to take their mind and then use incantations and affect the world for good, right? And so the ultimate question that people get are, how do I know when I'm doing it for good and when I'm doing it for evil? How do I know when I'm doing white magic or black magic? And it's pretty simple, right? The key is, whose interest is it, right? If you are prioritizing your own best interest above theirs, then you're not doing it for good, right? So if I know that it's benefiting me but it hurts them, then that is when I'm going towards black magic, right? And that's why I had to leave the world of timeshare, because when I was doing timeshare, I always felt like I was a loser. If I made a sale, I felt like I was screwing over a family. And if I didn't make a sale, I felt like I was a loser. And so it was this, like, lose-lose situation. And I got to the point where I was, like, super stressful. And I remember I walked into the office of the director of sales, and he's like, why don't you take your shoulders out of your ears? But it was because I was so stressed because the situation was always losing, and I knew I was doing black magic, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So once you have that gift of gab and you have the power of an incantation, you can actually manipulate someone to do something, right? Because let's be real, all persuasion is manipulation. And if you think it's not, you're just kidding yourself. You're going to manipulate someone. It's just, what interest is it? Is it going to benefit them, or is it not going to benefit them? And one of the things that we look at is, like, as parents lie to children. And oftentimes parents are going to lie to children for the child's best interest, right? So parents will, they call it like the chocolate covered carrot, right? You want to trick them to eat their vegetables. Like, if you eat your vegetables, you get an ice cream. Or the other things that we'll see parents do, like, I have someone that I know, their parents told them that they were going on a vacation, and then they sent them to rehab, right? So the parent lied to the child, but they lied to the child in the best interest of the child. And that's really where you got to understand, is like, if you're going to manipulate someone, it must be in their best interest. Otherwise, you're doing black magic, right? And so the parent tricked them and said, like, hey, you know, we're going to go on vacation, pack your bag, blah, 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 blah. Next thing I know, they're in rehab. And they're grateful for the experience, because that started to get them on the right path. And that's when they knew they had a problem, right? So the ultimate question is, like, the ethics of persuasion, and, you know, how to know you're doing good or you're doing bad, comes down to a simple question of, am I leaving a person better than I found them or not? If you leave the person worse than you found them, then you know you're doing black magic. And especially if you're benefiting in leaving someone worse off, you're going down a path that's going to leave you in a world of hurt. And, like, when I saw all those people in timeshare, you know, one of the things I tell people is, you wear the face that you earn the face that you wear. And it's because I would see these people, they have these, like, scowls and just this stress in their face, and they carry this mask like this, and a lot of times they have thin eyes, and they're, like, you could tell all of that emotion that they've taken into themselves was because of all the black magic that they did, right? So you earn the face that you wear. And when you have this ability, if you leave people better off than you found them, it's amazing, because you still get rewarded. That's the best part about it. It's like the old Zig Ziglar line, like, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have whatever you want. And when you are enabling people to hit their goals or whatever their motives are, and you're making their lives better, and then they come back to you and they thank you for that experience, you will get rich in the process of doing that. If you just consistently do it, you will get rich. And it's amazing. And that's when you know that you're on the right side of the magic, right? So the best way to think about it is, as a salesperson, if you treat it like you have a fiduciary duty to whoever it is that you're serving, right? If when you serve someone, what you're doing is not in their best interest, then something's out of alignment. And if whatever you're doing is in their best interest, then that's when you're on the right path. So for a lot of you guys who joined the group, and maybe you're new to the group, I just want to welcome you. I'm happy to have you. We're all here to help you. If you got questions along your path, please join in the conversation. Feel free to share. Feel free to ask as you're learning, as you're growing. And the main thing to consider is, when am I on the right side, or when am I doing good? You'll know, because you'll feel it emotionally. You'll see the effects of it. And at the end of the day, you'll know that you're prioritizing the needs of whoever it is that you're serving over your own needs. If your needs come first and their needs, you're just totally disregarding them altogether, that's when you know that you're doing the manipulation for the wrong reasons. So I hope that clarifies things for you guys. I'm going to have to run, but if you got questions, drop them in the comments. If this was helpful, leave a little wizard or a sorceress in the comments, and please ask any other questions you got around this, or even potential future lives that you'd like to see. I'm happy to help you guys. I'm here to serve. So let me know.